One of the teachings that I've heard from my teacher, Sri Ramakrishna, is that ultimately I am not the doer of the things that I think that I'm doing. And that's caused me to do a lot of thinking over the years to try and figure out how is that possible, because it seems so obvious to me that I'm that I'm doing things. And I've kind of come from two different angles on it. I'm just going to throw them out there for something to think about. One of them is that I understand that as I make a plan, I keep changing that plan until what happens is interpreted as my plan, as it were. You know, I might tell the story that I might plan on going to a restaurant with, Dick and Jane on Friday night. And when Friday night comes along, I end up at the movies with Sarah and Ben. And I'll still think that I made my plans for the weekend, even though they didn't happen. I just kind of kept making micro adjustments as I went along until my plan to do something is actually what happened. But Sri Nisargadatta here, in his book I Am That, says a few interesting things that I wanted to share. He says, like everything mental, the so-called law of causation contradicts itself. No thing in existence has a particular cause. The entire universe contributes to the existence of even the smallest thing. Nothing could be as it is without the universe being what it is. When the source and ground of everything is the only cause of everything, to speak of causality as a universal law is wrong. The universe is not bound by its content because its potentialities are infinite. Besides, it is a manifestation or expression of a principle fundamentally and totally free. It's when you have a little piece of string and, if it's moving, like, or think of a bike chain actually on a bike around the cogs, and everything is moving in unison. Well, what's the ultimate cause of that? To actually find the ultimate cause, at first you would be like, oh, well, obviously the chain pulling on the cog. Well, one cog's pulling and one cog is being pulled. So, it just keeps going. It's like, oh, well, the person pedaling, and then, okay, well, what's the cause of the person pedaling? Oh, his legs. Well, what's the cause of his legs? Oh, his body. Well, what's the cause of his body? The food that he ate. Oh, well, what's the cause of the activation of the food that he ate to pedal the wheel? Oh, his mind. You see, if you keep following that line of thinking, you see that ultimately you'll have to name everything in the universe as the cause of the wheel rounding. And it's very interesting. His questioner goes on. He says something very comforting, actually, which I'm glad about. And when my mind starts spinning like that, the questioner says, yeah, one can see that ultimately to speak of one thing being the only cause of another thing is altogether wrong. Yet in actual life, we invariably initiate action with the view of a result. We don't pay any attention to how unlikely our thinking is. And Maharaj says, yes, there is a lot of such activity going on because of ignorance. Would people know that nothing can happen unless the entire universe makes it happen, they would achieve much more with less expenditure of energy. Because you would take things into account. You would kind of paddle with the current, in a sense. Like, you would still play your part, but you would know it was only your part. It would be a very small part. And you wouldn't have the expectations for your ideal result quite as strongly. And you could flow through the current so much more easily. It wouldn't cause as much stress for us when things didn't go our way. We would stop counting on having everything our way. And funny enough, that ideal is built into us. Nothing is more annoying than being with somebody who always has to have it their way. Despite what the McDonald's jingle used to say, that was Burger King. Oh, I'm so glad I messed that up. I'm finally, my mind is purifying. I mistook the McDonald's jingle for the Burger King jingle. Glory days, glory days. Anyway, you'd have to get in my head probably to figure out what I'm so happy about in that regard. But anyway, this whole cause and effect thing, open to the universe, be present in the now, and take things as they are and see them as perfect. Adjust yourself to the moment instead of adjusting the moment to yourself. That's another thing somewhere else Sri Nisargadatta said. He said, one difference between the saint and the worldly man is that the saint experiences every moment, each moment, or the moment, as perfect. It's perfectly fine the way it is. He said the worldly man is continually trying to improve it. He goes on, there's another story, he says, when a saint plays chess with God versus when a worldly man plays chess with God. He says when the saint plays chess with God, his first move is to lay his king down. He said, but the worldly man is foolish enough to think he has a first move. Anyway, not to say that you shouldn't try playing chess and learn the hard way that you don't have a move. But nonetheless, this idea of relaxing in to our relationship with the divine, of knowing or having a faith, I guess, an assumption, let's call it an assumption, that the universe is love at its center, that everything nourishes everything, everything is being taken care of, everything is part of everything. Things are born, things are sustained, and things die, and it is all part of a natural and beautiful process. To surrender to that, and to enjoy the beauty of that, and to enjoy the isness of that experience of being. But to know, in the end, you're not the doer, so why be the stressor?